Hello everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel, Naveed Technical Education. Today we are going to discuss about PLSQL procedures. These are the topics of discussion that we'll be covering in this particular session. What are PLSQL stored procedures? PLSQL stored procedural parameter modes, PLSQL stored procedure with in parameter, with out parameter, with in out parameter. What are the methods for passing parameters and how to use a cursors in a procedures. What are PLSQL stored procedure? A PLSQL procedure is basically a named block that does a specific task. PLSQL procedure allows you to encapsulate complex business logic and reuse it in both database layer and application layer. A procedure is basically a type of a subprogram that performs an action. A procedure can be stored inside your database as a schema object for repeated execution. As you can see, this is how we create a PLSQL procedure. Create or replace procedure, then we give the procedure name, what parameter we are passing is, and here after the is or as we have to give the declaration, and the begin section, exception section is optional, and then we have to end the procedure. PLSQL stored procedural parameter modes. See, there are three different types of parameters that we can pass to the stored procedure. The in, which is the default one, it passes a constant value from the calling environment into the procedure. Now the calling environment can be your anonymous blocks, okay, it can be your from the SQL prompt as well, also it can be from the bind variable as well. Now the out parameter, it passes a value from the procedure to the calling environment. In and out, it passes a value from the calling environment into the procedure and a possibly different value from the procedure back to the calling environment using the same parameter. PLSQL stored procedures with in parameter. An informal parameter is initialized to the actual parameter with which it was called, unless it was explicitly initialized with a default value. The in parameter can be referenced within the called program. However, the called program cannot assign a new value to the in parameter. After control returns to the calling program, the actual parameter always contains the value to it was set prior to the call. Let's see an example for the stored procedure with a in parameter. Let me show a simple example how we use the in parameter in a stored procedure. So this is how we create a stored procedure, create or replace procedure, and give the name of the procedure as demo. And here I'll be using X in number. Okay, so then is, we can write is or you can write as well, and then begin. Now there is nothing to declare, I'm just using the dbms underscore output dot put underscore line and just multiplying it by X, and then I'm ending the program. So this is how I written a simple procedure demo X. So what basically I'm trying to do here is I'm multiplying X with X. So whatever the value I'm passing, okay, with X it will multiply and it will output the value. Now this is something X in, I have to pass it from the calling program. Okay, so let me first compile this particular stored procedure. So the stored procedure is compiled, as you can see here, procedure demo compiled. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to call this particular stored procedure. So let me give the value as 3, and you can see here the value is 9. So let me give it as 10 and execute it. You can see here the value is 100. Okay, let me give 100 here. You can see it, the value is 10,000. Okay, so this is how the stored procedure with in parameter. So basically the value of in, you have to pass it from the calling program. Okay, so you can also change the logic here. You can also give it here plus, and once you change the logic, you have to recompile the program. You can see procedure demo compiled, and again let's say if I give here value of around 300, so 300 plus 300 is 600. So let me execute it. You can see here the value of 600. So let me show you another example. Okay, using some, so I'm going to use the same program. What I'm going to do here is procedure demo X instead of X. Okay, here I will write Y in number. Okay, here I'm going to use X, and here I'm going to give X varchar 2 20. Now instead of DBMS, what I'm going to do here is select ename into X. I can do it like this as well, from scott.emp, where emp number equals to y. Okay. Now here I'm passing the value of X. So create or replace procedure demo y in number X, okay, into X, and I'm outputting the value of X. Let me recompile this. You can see a procedure is recompiled, and let me pass the value of let me check what is the value. So let me check this particular, copy this particular this. Let me check here. Hold on. Star. Okay, so these are the values. So let me pick any one of the employee numbers. So let me put at 7788. Okay, so let me put here execute demo 7788, and let me see whether I will get the Scott as a ename or not. So once I execute it, you can see I'm getting the value as Scott. Okay. Let me give some other value 7839. Execute this. You can see here I'm getting the value as king. Okay. So this is also one of the ways in which we can write our PLSQL procedure. Okay. So basically taking all the values into X and all, and then outputting it. Let me show you another example how I can do a same example I'm going to use, where I'm going to use an update. Okay, so X in hr.employees.employee underscore ID percentage type is okay. So I don't require this one. Begin. Now here, instead of select, what I'm going to do, I'm doing an update hr.employees set salary equals to salary plus 500, where employee underscore ID equals to X. Fine. This is also not required because I'm just doing an update here and then ending this. So let me re-execute this piece of code. Okay, so procedure demo is compiled. Now let me just check the HR employees. Okay, copy this. Let me check here. Select star from employees. So let me pick any values from here. As you can see, these are the different values are there. Okay, so the salary is this particular column. So let me check Nina. Okay, so whose employee ID is 101 and the salary is currently 17,000. So after the update, it will be okay. So here I will get here 101 for this particular row. 17,000 it is. So once I execute this program or execute this stored procedure, it will be changed to 17,500. So let me execute it. You can see PLSQL procedure successfully executed. Let me execute this one, and you can see here this particular row salary has been changed to 17,500. Let me do it for 102 as well. If I change it to 102 and execute this piece of procedure, you can see PLSQL successfully completed. Let me again execute this. It will change to, you can see here 17,500, right? So let me change for 103 as well. So likewise, you can do it for n number of, you can pass n number of in parameter values. Let me execute this 9,000. Let me check this, and you can see here it's 9,500. Okay, sorry, 103 Alexander. So this is how the PLSQL procedure works with the in parameter. Coming to the out parameter, see, an out formal parameter is initialized to the actual parameter with which it was called. The call program can reference and assign new values to the formal parameter. Now, if the call program terminates without an exception, the actual parameter takes on the value to which the formal parameter was last set. If a handle exception occurs, the actual parameter takes on the last value to which the formal parameter was set. If an unhandled exception occurs, the value of the actual parameter remains what it was prior to the call. So let's see an example for the stored procedure with an out parameter. I'm going to use the same example. Okay, create or replace procedure demo x out. I'm going to write it here. Sorry. Varchar 2, and then instead of this, what I'm going to do, select ename into x from scott.emp, where emp number equals to, let me check what should be the emp number. As you can see here, let me get the emp number for Miller, 7934. Okay, so basically what I'm trying to get with this particular procedure, I'm trying to get the value of ename, okay, for the employee number 7934. So basically the output should be Miller for 7934. So let me compile this particular piece of code. You can see here procedure is compiled successfully. Now let me call this particular procedure from a calling environment. Now since I'm using a particular, I simply cannot call this like this, okay, since I'm using out parameters, what I can do, I have to declare something like this, an anonymous block. So first I have to give the character type, a data type of the x, okay, what is the out variable, then I have to go to the begin, and then I have to call this demo and x, and dbms underscore output dot put underscore line, then x. I have to end the program. Let me do one thing, let me just copy this to, because very frequently I'll be using this. So let me open another worksheet and copy these two here so that it should not confuse. Okay, so this is one of the ways in which we can call an out parameter. So always remember this x is the variable, this is the one. This is the one x out, okay, so into x out varchar, it should be same, okay, and demo x I'm calling dbms output dot put line. So let me execute this. You can see here I'm getting the value of Miller here, okay. So let me try to give some other here. So let me just execute this. Let me give Adams, okay, this particular row 7876. So here what I will do, 7876, what's it, 7876, sorry, 7876. So again I have to recompile this. So the procedure is recompiled. Let me call again this particular procedure. You can see here anonymous block, it is showing Adams. So this is one of the way in which we can call a. Another way we can use it is from a bind variable, okay. So what we have to do, to use a variable, let's say x varchar 2 30, okay, and then execute demo with the x, okay, and then print the value of x. So like this also we can do it, okay. So let me execute this. This is how, this is using the anonymous block. Now this is using the bind variables, okay. Now always point to remember, here's the data type, okay, it should be the similar data type whatever you have mentioned here in your PLSQL procedure, and this is how. So let me execute this. Let me give some other values right now. Let me give Smith 7369, okay, 7369. Let me re-execute this. You can see demo compiled. Now let me go back here. Let me execute this. Okay, so first let me execute this. Okay, execute this. Execute this again. So you can see here what happened. Why it is showing output error. There is some error. Print x. Okay, maybe brackets are not required. Print x. Oh, okay, fine. I made a mistake. Sorry. So x, you can see the value of x is Smith. Okay. So this is how using a bind variable we can use it. So just give the variable of the same data type, then execute your procedure by passing this bind variable and then print the bind variable. So this is how we do it using a bind variables. Now let's see about in and out parameter. Like an in parameter, an in out formal parameter is initialized to the actual parameter with which it was called. Like an out parameter, an in out formal parameter is modifiable by the called program, and the last value of the formal parameter is passed to the calling program actual parameter if the called program terminates without an exception. Now if a handle exception occurs, the actual parameter takes on the last value to which the formal parameter was set. Now if an unhandled exception occurs, the value of the actual parameter remains what it was prior to the call. So let's see an example for the stored procedure with an in-out parameter. So let me try another example here. Let me try create or replace. Let me give demo, save. Okay, now here I'm going to give the value of phone number. Okay, th_phone in out varchar2. Okay, is, or you can also write as. Let me show you one example with an s. So begin p_phone. So let me do couple of substring functions. Okay, substr p_phone. Comma 1, comma 3. So first 3 characters should be then substring p_phone, comma 4, comma 3. Then substring p_phone variable, comma 7. Once this is done, then let me end this particular block. Okay, if I execute this, you can see here PLSQL procedure successfully compiled. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to call this. Okay, so I'm using the pphone as the same variable for both inputting and outputting the values, which it should be, but always remember the in out, whatever you are using, it should be of similar data type. Okay, so let me go here, x varchar2. Okay, now here I will pass the value of x here. X, I will give it as 08025431387, and the same thing. So let me delete this, execute this piece of code. You can see here I'm getting the value of the phone number. It is doing a substring. Okay, whether the first 3 character is with a bracket, then the next 3 characters is appended with the hyphen, and the last 4 characters, 5 characters. So this is how we do it. Okay, let me show you another example. Okay, now how can we call from anonymous block? Okay, but passing value from an calling from the anonymous block, but also passing value from an anonymous block. Okay, so let me do one thing. Let me go to the procedure here. I have to change. So here I will give x in out. Let me try number. Here begin. Instead of this, what I'm going to do, select salary into x from hr.employees, where employee underscore id equals to x. So let me execute this piece of code. So it's compiled successfully. Once it's compiled, what I can do, I can now call it from this particular block. Okay, x number. So the only thing I need to change here is x number, because since I'm using an out parameter, I have to call it. Now here I will give, let's say, give the employee as 200, demo x, and dbm as this. So let me execute this. So first let me check for hr.employees. For, you can see here, for 200 it should be Jennifer, right? This is what I'm doing, salary into x from here. Okay, and dbm as Okay, so basically I'm printing the value of salary. So select salary from employees, where let me check it with the SQL command first, equals to 200. So what value should I get here? You can check here, I will get the 4400 as a salary. So let me execute this piece of code and check what should I get. You can see here the salary that I'm getting is 4400. Why? Because for the employee ID 200. Let me give for 206 and check. It should be 8300. So let me check it here as well. 206, and let me check what should be the value I should get. You can see here 8300. Okay, so this is also one of the ways in which you can use your PLSQL stored procedure with an in-out parameter. Okay, so by writing a query as well inside that. Let me show you another example. The same procedure I can use it. Now here what I have done, I have split the in and out into one should be out and one should be in. Okay, so what I have done, I have created a replace a procedure demo. X should be the out parameter with a data type of varchar, and Y should be the in parameter with a number data type. Now what I'm trying to do is selecting the first name into X. Now the first name data type should match your X data type, okay, which is the varchar from hr.employees, where employee ID should be Y. So let me compile this. You can see it is successfully compiled. Now what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to X, Y, I'm passing the number with 206. Okay, as you can see, if I execute this particular piece of SQL query, select star from HR employees where employee ID is 206, I'm getting the first name as William here. So same thing I should get it here. Now inside the demo, I'm passing both the values X and Y, both the in and the out parameter, but I'm outputting only the out parameter. So the out parameter is the X one. Okay, and with the Y parameter, I'm passing the value of 206 to the demo. So let me execute this, and you can see here I'm getting the first name as William. So let me give some other name. Let me give it as 201 and execute this. You can see here I'm getting as Michael. So if I execute it with 201, see here it is the first name is coming as a Michael. So this is also one of the ways in which we can use the in-out parameter. Okay, now always one point to remember is if your data type is same for both in and out, you can use a single variable. But in case if your data type is different for your in and out parameter, then in that case you have to use it like that. So you have to define a separate variable for out parameter, separate variable for your in parameter. I hope I have made it easier for you to understand. See, there are different methods of passing the parameters. Okay, we have method one known as positional, which lists values in the order in which the parameters are declared. Then we have something known as named association. It lists values in the arbitrary order by associating each one with its parameter name using special syntax. And a combination one, which lists the first value positionally and the remainder using the special syntax of the named method. So let's see an example for the different ways to pass parameters in the PLSQL stored procedure. So this is one of the example that I'm going to show it to you. Now what I've done here, I have declared an anonymous block here. So declare, inside that I have declared two variables X and Y. Okay, X is having the value 120 and Y is having 150. Now inside this anonymous block, I can create a procedure as well. So I've used a procedure. This is the raise salary procedure where I'm passing two values. Both are in parameters, employee ID and amount. Now what I'm doing with these two parameters, I'm updating the hr.employees with the salary column, salary plus amount. So for all the employees, okay, sorry, for employee number 120, what I'm trying to do, I'm updating the salary with an amount 50 here. So I can give here like this, update hr.employee set salary equal to salary plus amount. Okay, where now this is the amount, this is the number type, where employee ID equals to employee ID, which is this part. Now I'm ending this particular procedure. Now what I'm going into the begin section, I'm calling this particular procedure with X and Y. Okay, now you can see here first X is defined and then Y is defined. This is something which we call it as a positional procedural call for the actual parameter. So in this case, whenever I'm calling a procedure with X and Y, so X refers to the EMP ID and Y refers to the amount. Okay, so this is how we call it as a positional procedure. Now name, what do you mean by name parameters? Name parameter, what is that? It is raising the salary. I'm calling the same procedure raise salary. Here I'm specifying the amount should be Y. Okay, if you want to call Y first, then you should give it like this, amount equals to Y. and then employee ID equals to X. Okay. Also, you can do it mixed, in which case first should be your positional procedure and another should be your name. So these are the three ways in which we can call the parameters inside or specify the parameters inside our procedure. Okay, using positional, using name, and using mixed. So let me execute this piece of code and let's see. You can see a PLSQL successfully executed. Let me see what is for employee ID. 120, what is the, because 3 times I've called this, so 3 times it will be updated. It should have been updated. So let me check here, 120. Okay, so you can see here salary is 8450. Okay, so initially it was 800 and 8300 it was. So 3 times I have called the procedure here, 1 time here, 1 time here, and 1 time here. So every time it updated the salary with 50. Okay, now again if I call it here, you can see here right now it is 8450. So it will add another 150 because 3 times I'm calling it. So again if I execute this procedure, you can see PLSQL successfully completed. Let me check what is the value. So from 8450 plus if I add 150, it should be 8600. So let me execute this. You can see that it is salary right now is 8600. So basically the idea of this example is to basically show you how we can pass the values while calling the procedure. Okay, so we can use positional procedure. So here X will map to the first parameter, whatever you specified inside your procedure. Y will be mapped to the second one. Now if you want a different one, you can go for the name, where you have to specify amount equals to Y and employee ID equals to X. This is known as named. And if you want a mixed, then the first one should always be positional and the second one or the third one you can give it as a mixed. Now let's see about the cursors in procedures. See, there are 2 ways in which we can use the cursor with the procedures. First one is calling the procedure from a cursor. Now the cursor will be inside an anonymous block. Another way is we can use a cursor inside the procedure as well. So let's see an example for using cursors in the PLSQL stored procedure. So let me write a simple, calling the procedure from so let me write a simple procedure, create or replace procedure. So let me write it as a demo. So here I will give ID in scotch.emp percentage type. Here I will give it as name, which should be an out parameter, scout.emp.ename percentage type. Sorry, I forgot to mention here the which column I'm using for this one, emp number. Okay, so is as whatever you want. Then begin, select ename into name. Okay, because that's my out parameter, from scott.emp, where emp number equals to ID, which is my in parameter. And then so let me execute this successfully procedure. You can see here it is compiled successfully. Let me do one thing. Let me call it from a cursor. So what I'm going to do here is here is name, because that's my out parameter, emp ename percentage type. Now here I'm going to use a cursor. Okay. Cursor C1 is select select emp number, because all the emp number I'm selecting from scotch.emp, which I'm going to use it as an in parameter. Now inside this I'm going to do for I in C1, go for a loop. So one by one you select each one, call demo, and here you need to specify I dot emp number comma name as an out parameter. Okay, now here you have to give me the output, dbms underscore output dot put underscore line I dot emp number, and then name as an out parameter. Then I'm going to end the loop. And then I'm going to end the program as well. So let me see. Select start from EMP number. So for all the EMP number, I'm going to get what? I'm going to get the ename. Okay. So let me execute this. select emp dot ename, select scott.emp. Something is malfunctioning. EMP number. Cursor C1 is select EMP number from scott.emp. Let me check whether this particular query is working fine or not. So let me check here. That's working fine. So I'm passing all the values here. Cursor C1 is select from scott.emp. Again, name is emp.ename percentage type for I in C1 group. Okay. So I forgot to mention the Scott, the schema name. So let me execute this for all the EMP number which is there. I should get the name, which is my out parameter in this particular demo. Okay, so name I should get it. You can see ename into name. Let me execute this, and you can see what happened. Oh, sorry, it should be demo. I don't know what mistakes and all silly mistakes I'm making. Execute this, and you can see here I'm getting all the name and the number. Okay, so I'm getting Smith for first one, second one I'm getting Alan, for third one I'm getting. So for all the EMP number I'm getting the name. So this is one of the ways in which we can use a cursor with a stored procedure. Okay, now I'm going to show you an example where I'm going to use this particular stored procedure where I'm going to use the cursor inside the stored procedure. But before that, let me show you one of the example, create or replace procedure demo. Okay, now here I will give it as X in varchar 2. Okay, so what as now I'm going to declare is X as a varchar 2 30. Okay, now begin, select ename into X from scott.emp where job, let me give job equals to X. Okay, and now if I try to use dbms underscore output dot put underscore line, okay, and then I'm going to give X. So what do you think it should be the error? So it will throw an error. Why? Because this particular X variable can only hold one row. It cannot hold multiple rows. Okay, so this is where the cursor comes into picture. Now if I try to execute this, you can see here it is throwing me an error. Okay, what error? It is telling duplicate field in record table list are not permitted. So select ename into X from scott.emp where X equals to this. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake here. It should be Y here. Okay, select ename into Y from scott.emp where job equals to X. Okay, and then here I'm outputting the value of Y. So let me execute this, and you can see here. So procedure is successfully compiled, but when I try to call this particular procedure, okay, let's say for job, let's say clerk. Okay, so let's say if I want to call this particular procedure, execute, okay, demo, let's say clerk. Now this clerk will throw 5 values or 4 values. If I show you here, select star from EMP where job equals to clerk. Okay, tell you about ename here. So which all employees are having job as a clerk. So you can see here it is 4 rows it is throwing me. But when I try to execute this with clerk, it will give me an error that can exact fetch returns more than number of rows. Why? Because this particular value Y, it can only hold one row, it cannot hold multiple rows. So this is where our cursor comes into picture. So instead of this, what we can do, we can write a cursor here. Okay, so I'm going to use the same program logic, create or replace procedure, this X in 1. Now as instead of this, what I can write here, cursor, so C1 is select ename from scott.emp where job equals to X. Okay, I'm putting into this cursor for I in C1, I can write a loop here. Okay, and then this, it will give me I dot ename and then end the loop. So let me compile this. procedure is successfully compiled. Okay, now let me execute this for clock again, and you can see here I'm getting all the values. Why? Because here I have used a cursor, okay, instead of using a variable. So always remember, whenever you want a variable to hold multiple rows, then it's always you should go for the cursor variable. Okay, so this is C1 is the cursor. Always use the cursor, and using the loop you can output one row at a time. Okay, so this is where I converted with a single variable using a cursor. So this is how you use a cursor inside your PLSQL stored procedure as well. That's all from the PLSQL stored procedures session. I hope you have enjoyed this. If you have any question, do let me know in the comment section. I'll be happy to respond. Also, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel for further technical videos.